Greetings, and welcome to another fulfilling installment of the Math 8 videos. Dun, dun, dun. This is a video over section 6, which is multiplying one equation to solve systems, okay? So what we had in the last video was we always had opposite coefficients, okay? What we need to do in this one is manipulate an equation to get opposite coefficients. So let's write that down up here, all right? So we are going to manipulate one equation to get opposite coefficients. Okay? Remember coefficients. Coefficients are the numbers in front of the variable, okay? And we do this done by multiplying, okay? All right, so that's what we've got. Now what I want to do over here is figure out which one of these variables I want to get rid of, okay? And I want to use multiplication to change one of these equations so that I get opposite coefficients. Now here's what I notice, okay? I look at my x terms, okay, and I have a 2x and a 4x, okay? What I can do is I could manipulate the 2x and turn that into a 4 by using multiplication. Now over here with the 5y and the 3y, I can't really do that, okay? Because I can't multiply 3 by anything to get 5, okay? So, you know, that's what you got to look at. Sometimes you could do either or, but in this case, the only thing I can get rid of and manipulate is the x, okay? So here's what I'm going to do, all right? I'm going to multiply this entire equation by -2, okay? And by doing that, it's going to give me opposite coefficients. So let me distribute this, -2, and that's going to give me -4x minus 10y is equal to -2. Okay, now I just rewrite my next equation, my second equation, which is 4x plus 3y equals -5, all right? And so at this point, notice that I have opposite coefficients. I have a -4 and a +4. That's what I'm trying to get, all right? So let me add these together like we did in the previous video. So those are going to cancel out, all right? And now I've got -10y plus 3y gives me -7y is equal to -7. Now I'm going to divide everything by -7 on both sides, okay? So the -7's divide out, and I get that y is equal to +1, all right? So I've got that y is equal to +1. Now I want to plug it back into one of my original equations. Now when you get to these types of equations, it doesn't really matter so much. The steps are all going to be the same. So let me do this. I'm just going to plug this guy into the second equation. All right. So I've got 4x plus 3 times y, but y is equal to just a +1. So I plug in a 1, and that's going to equal -5. And now this equation will allow me to now solve for x. All right. So now I've got 4x plus 3 equals -5. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, and that's going to give me 4x is equal to -8. I'm going to now divide both sides by 4, all right, and that's going to give me that x is equal to -2, all right. So now I've got x equals -2 and y equals 1. That's my solution to my system, okay. So my solution is the point -2, 1, all right, and that's that. All right, so now let's take a look at this equation, or this system of equations. All right, so now on this one, you know, we're deciding which equation to multiply by to eliminate, okay? And so I've got my 2x and 5x, okay? 2 is an even number, 5 is an odd number. But 2 does not, I can't multiply 2 by anything to get 5, all right? So I can't do that. But if I look over here, all right, I've got -6y and +3y, all right? So what I have here, I know that 3 goes into 6. So what I can do if I multiply this entire equation by positive 2, okay, and distribute that 2 into everything, okay, because I want opposite coefficients, that's going to end up giving me 4x plus 6y is equal to negative 2, okay? Now, I'm just going to rewrite my top equation, which is 5x minus 6y, and that's equal to 11. These go to 11. All right, so now what I want to do is notice that I have opposite coefficients. I have a negative 6y and a positive 6y. So I'm going to add these two equations together, all right? My negative 6y and positive 6y cancel out to 0. So 5x plus 4x is going to give me 9x, and that's going to equal 11 minus 2, which is 9. Divide by 9, and I get that x is equal to 1, all right? So I have x equals 1. And what I want to do is plug this back into one of my equations. Now, I'm going to plug it into my bottom equation because I'm dealing with smaller numbers in my bottom equation. Okay, you can plug it into the top, it doesn't matter, but I'm just going to choose that one. All right, so I'm going to plug it into this guy. So now I've got 2 times x, but x is equal to 1, so I'm going to plug in 1 for x, plus 3y is equal to negative 1. So 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 3y equals negative 1. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, and I get value of 3y is equal to negative 3. I'm going to divide both sides by 3 and 3, so y is going to equal negative 1. All right, so I've solved for x, solved for y, and now I have my solution, okay, 1 comma negative 1. All right, and that's it, and that's all we're doing. Okay, so those are the two problems that we had on this page. Okay, let's take a look at the second page. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a system that has no solutions. So what you notice here is that if you're trying to figure out which value to eliminate, you've got a 4x and an 8x. Okay, so I could multiply this by 2 to get an 8. All right, same thing over here. I've got y and 2y. Okay, I could multiply this by 2 to get a 2 as well. So look what happens, all right? And I'm going to multiply this top equation by negative 2, all right? And let's distribute that negative 2. So that's going to give me negative 8x minus 2y is equal to negative 6, okay? Now, I'm going to rewrite my bottom equation, which is simply just 8x plus 2y equals 9, okay? Notice what's happened here. Notice that I have opposite coefficients for my x and opposite coefficients for my y term, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these together, all right? And the x's are going to cancel out and my y's are going to cancel out, okay? So I just get 0. Over here, negative 6 plus 9 is going to give me 3. So 0 equals 3. That is a false statement, okay? So that means we have no solution. Okay, which is a problem, all right? We need solutions, all right? But sometimes I don't have them, okay? All right, let's take a look at this next one, all right? A system with infinite solutions. Now, what I notice on this guy is that I could either eliminate the x or the y, okay? And what I'm going to do is multiply this equation by 3 and 3, and it'll give me the same thing. Now, take a look at what happens, and I'm going to do negative 3 here. Distribute that, and so I'm going to get 3x minus 9y equals 18, all right? If I distribute the negative 3, I'm going to get negative 3x plus 9y equals negative 18, okay? And so as a result, notice how everything here is opposite, okay? If I add these two equations together, all right, my x terms are going to cancel out. My y terms are going to cancel out. I'm going to get 0. And then I get 18 equals negative 18, and that's also going to give me 0. So this is a true statement, okay? And remember, when I get a true statement, that means that we have infinite solutions, okay? And that's what we've got. All right, let's take a look at a real-world problem. About Beth making her spaghetti sauce, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a system of equations and solve this. All right, so let's read through this video, or not this video, this problem, and let's see what we can figure out. Okay, we might have to read this multiple times in order to be able to write out our equations. Okay, so Beth makes her own spaghetti sauce. Okay, she needs 6 cans of crushed tomatoes and tomato paste to make enough sauce for 20 people. A can of crushed tomatoes costs $3, and a can of tomato paste costs $2. Beth spent $16 to purchase enough cans to make the sauce for 20 people. How many cans of crushed tomatoes did Beth buy? How many cans of tomato paste? Okay, so let's talk about this, okay? As I'm reading this, she needs 6 cans of crushed tomatoes and tomato paste to make her sauce for 20 people. So she's going to buy a total of 6 cans, all right? So let's come in here and let's write that. So this is a total of 6 cans, all right? Which is kind of tricky to understand, all right? Took me, I had to read this a couple times before I actually just attempted the problem and then realized I was getting it wrong, and so had to kind of go back and take a look at this. So a total of 6 cans, okay, between the crushed tomatoes and tomato paste, all right? So that's what I know. Now we're trying to figure out how many cans of crushed tomatoes and how many cans of tomato paste. So let's identify our variables here, okay? All right, so our variables, and let's have X be the number of cans of crushed tomatoes. Okay, and let's have Y be the number of cans of tomato paste. Okay, and so here's what I know. What I can, because we have a total of 6 cans, what we can do is we can write out the equation, the number of cans of crushed tomatoes, X, plus the number of cans of tomato paste, Y, is going to equal 6, okay? Now, the other equation that I can write is a can of crushed tomatoes costs $3, and a can of tomato costs $2. A total of $16 was purchased, okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this. I'm going to write $3 times the number of cans of crushed tomatoes plus $2 times the number of cans of tomato paste is going to equal $16, okay? Now, what we want to do is we want to solve this system, okay? And so what I'm going to do, it doesn't matter which one we get rid of, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my Y. Okay, I could either do X or Y, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to multiply this top equation by -2, okay? And I'm going to distribute that -2 into each of those terms, so that's going to give me -2x minus 2y is equal to -12, okay? And then I've got 3x plus 2y is equal to 16. So when I add these together, I'm going to eliminate my y variable, my y term, all right? So what I then have is I have -2x plus 3, which is going to just give me a positive x. And then I'm going to get -12 plus 16 is going to give me positive 4. So I have that x is equal to 4, okay? And now what I want to do is I want to plug this back into one of my top equations, one of these original equations, and I'm going to pick the top one because my numbers, my coefficients are smaller. Okay, it doesn't matter, but that's what I'm going to choose. Okay, so I'm going to plug that back in. I'm going to rewrite my equation, plug in 4 for x because x is equal to 4. So I've got 4 plus y is equal to 6. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. All right, so then I get that y is equal to 2. All right, so I have these solutions, but when I answer this question, we want to be specific about how we're labeling these. So what I know is that I have 4 cans of crushed tomatoes, okay, and I have 2 cans of tomato paste. Okay, and that's my answer. Okay, so when you're answering these word problems, we want to be specific about, you know, answering this question. We can't just write x equals 4, y equals 2, because that doesn't tell me anything. Okay, but we need to know, label our variables as to what they are, you know, and then write our equations. Okay, and all the stuff you're coming up with, you are creating this based off of what you're reading here. Now, the tricky thing about this is that they use the term for 20 people. Even though that is a numeric value, it actually doesn't mean anything in the context of this problem. It just says, in order for her to do this for 20 people, this is the total number of cans. All right, so that's all I got for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you later. Bye!